Yeah. Hey, bro, can you let your people know you not fucking with me? Cause them thinking you is fucking with me. I could never fall off. Yeah. Can you hear me? I've been hearing a lot of niggas claim the best rapper alive. Two things can be true, that's a factual lie. I'm that actual guy with a capital Y. Flow slicker than a nigga with the patch on his eye. Scared of our good brother in that Grand National Y. Shoulda knew you and that La Honda was gonna have to collide. Let's take this magical ride back to the shy. The FOI, don't know how many bows I actually tied. I felt like Farrakhan, so ran rapping the pie. And my shit hit like crack when it's dry. So high you can hit it once and pass it to God. I give off that human trafficking vibe. Cause I had that boy and the girl in the back of a Dodge. I did what I had to survive. Can't sit with my back to the door, that's my tactical side. The AK rushing like a halfback in the eye. Armed with a shotgun, cause you passed the huncher. I should've stayed in school, but at this juncture, I got $10 bags, fat as Action Bronson. And I wanna rap, but I lack the sponsors. And half of you niggas never had the hunger to pass the trauma. I'm in the trap passing Fonta. On the sun on ashwagandha. I'm used to getting stabbed in the back, it feel like acupuncture. Ever been back to back to back with Hondas? Two of them decoys, one of them packed with ganja. I came back just to crash the summer. I put more fire on wax than Kwanzaa. Cause whatever Hebrew can be used by the bartender. Mazel tov, shots through the glass of the car windshield. That might have went.
All right, Mazel tov. Look, there's some bars in this track that I'm just in love with. If y'all haven't seen that channel, what is it, the Delete Villain? The pettiness is unbelievable in terms of his hatred for J. Cole. Hopefully he covers this track. If you haven't, do yourself a favor. Pick up the Dakota incident. Shout out to Milestone Comics. There is, of course, always this complicated tangle that we do with these corporations that sideline black, brown, non-white creators and characters. When they do use them, they mishandle them. The leeway that is given to white creators, white characters will never be the same. Even in the fictional world, we got to be twice as good, etc., etc. That being said, am I conflicted that DC is being rewarded financially by, I bought two of these, by the way. The homie, he's a big DC fan, so I got him the cover with Soups. I didn't get a chance to get the main cover. I felt it was too busy. There's too much going on, then we had too many white people on the cover. I much prefer this cover. I mean, this is Milestone in your face, which is awesome. I've seen a lot of cool people, pushing Milestone for this event. And it finally motivated me to, grab the Milestone compendiums and really put into perspective the significance of Milestone for me in a better way, in a way that I hadn't really appreciated. And it forced me to kind of step back and be like, what Static was like a huge hero character for me growing up. I mean, it was the only one where I would watch and someone relate to. You know what I mean? So that was an interesting kind of reminder. So shout out to all the black nerds out there, putting in work and educating people. You had that whole thing with Comics Explain. Every once in a while I tune into the Blurred Without Fear. If you want to check out like a good let me find this. Yeah, see, I had the Krakoa era because I was trying to like tap into his breakdowns. But if you haven't checked them out, I really, really recommend them. DC So White over here, haven't checked this one out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm not a big DC fan, although I'll be honest, I read a lot of Batman. I had to stop watching this one because I didn't want any spoilers, since I'm about to read a lot of this stuff from back in the day. Really excited for that. But check them out. Who is a homie that's an MC? I think he's a producer now, but he also has comic book content. Uh, he comes out a lot, and not a lot, but he shows up in State of the Culture a lot. Uh, no, why am I thinking about State of the Culture? No. The Company Man, and then we'll get busy because I only got like 2.5 hours, and I'm already doing all this. I'll be honest with you, the TI tracks, they're all right. They're all right. I don't like all the focus on the chorus, the hooks. Um, I'm not a big fan when Culture United. There we go. Let me see if I can find him real quick. Yes, here he is.
Constantly says, I don't.
Okay, Rob. What does he go by? So he's got 2 channels. Is it like, what's his comic channel though? I was shocked that his comic channel does not have more views. He doesn't upload too much there. There we go. I mean, his, it's dope knowing that like intelligent people, like that intelligence and their articulation of the craft translates to things that they don't have personal experience with in terms of creating. I mean, I don't know if he's ever wrote a comic or anything like that, but I like seeing that to where he was, involved with music in the rap scene. So you kind of be like, all right, yeah, I understand why you have this insight and this analysis, right? But seeing that translate to a passion, to an enjoyment, check it out. Hopefully they upload more videos. But it was funny when I first saw on Culture United, I was like, this who reminds me of somebody. Yeah, okay. But yeah, check this out. I'll drop it for all the nerds. I'll drop it in the chat. All right. Let's get to it. The Dakota incident. I just read the first few pages. I have not been able to sit down really. Yeah, he is, man, I think a huge underrated sign of intelligence is your ability to conduct an interview. And but yeah, we need more comic stuff, Mark, for sure. Rob, Mark, man. All right, give me 1 sec. I totally forgot to do the thing that I should always do and pull up the other chats. I neglect the other chats for the main chat. Need to work on that. I hope you all are doing well. Here we go. They're not as busy, but you gotta appreciate the people that show up over there. All right, this is gonna be fun, man. That's like the quickest thumbnail I've ever made. And I love Toy Story, man. Toy Story is too good. But just 1, 2, and 3, I don't recognize, and 2's my favorite. The rest I don't care for, man. It's just, for me, it's almost like fanfic. It's irrelevant. Let's see here. But I was like, to Valhalla and beyond, bro. Let's do it. All right, appreciate y'all being patient with me. Let's get to it. Daria, I see you over there on the Deculturation live chat. If you haven't already subscribed to Deculturation, we finally hit 1,000 subscribers over there, so I appreciate y'all for the support. And I'm gonna start doing more editing in that regard. All right, let's get to it. Where are we at? Oh, I moved this? No, we're good. All right, let's start off. Not there yet. Just quickly and briefly, we'll do this. So from political, and you're starting to see the switch up. This is why it's insufficient for these candidates, for these politicians to suddenly start saying Israel's an apartheid state. I've been pushing back against that narrative because it's so superficial that I knew that eventually politicians would start embracing this. So it's happening. It's happening. I'm not a fucking fortune teller. I can't tell the future. Not Nostradamus over here. No, none of that. It's not necessary. You just study the game. You look at it and you're like, all right, it's going to happen. The switch is going to happen. There's that book that a lot of liberals recommend. Someday everyone will be against it or something along those lines. It's not supporting decolonization. It's not supporting armed resistance. It's not supporting the Palestinian resistance forces led by Hamas. It's not doing any of that. So whenever radlibs, liberals, dem socks, whatever they're calling themselves this week, progressives, some of them even call themselves socialists, it's cute as hell. Whenever they start like pushing a book, be fucking suspicious. Be suspicious. If you have read the 100-Year War on Palestine, if you had read it, because a lot of people be like, oh, I read that book. I'll tell you, I have not read a bunch of books that I should have been reading, right? I'll tell you up front. I'll tell you, hey, I skimmed the chapter because I needed some sources or I needed to double down on something, right? When I was trying to study about the kibbutzim, the thing that makes Bernie Sanders smile, I didn't read all those books. I was going through them specifically looking for what I was searching for, right? I'll never say, oh yeah, I read that. I'll tell you up front, I read a portion of that, right? Because I'm not here to fucking be a pseudo-intellectual flexing on some knowledge that I do not have, right? I'll tell you, I need to put in some work and read more up front. These people are pushing 100 Years of War. And the thing is, if they actually read it, they probably would like it. They would probably support it. But I remember being in a book club for it. And it's one of the rare times where I was able to actually join a book club in person, right? Usually it has to be online in some way or another just because of distance and time and my work schedule. So I was very happy to be a part of that. And literally by the end of it, like we were like, bro, this is just like great historical information, a whole lot of liberal slop. But the thing is, he tells you in the introduction, hey, I grew up affluent. Hey, I'm part of like one of the most, prestigious families in Palestine. Like my angle is coming from this perspective. So I appreciate that. But it makes sense why all these fucking liberals were pushing it. I'm not saying don't read it. In fact, read it and fucking learn the historical significance that book provides, the context, the history, for sure, but know what the angle is about, right? There's a reason why they're not suggesting you Ghassan Kanafani. There's a reason for that, because they don't want you to get any fucking ideas in your head and start organizing in a direct manner. All right. So with that said, I knew it was going to happen. Suddenly, all the Democratic Party was going to say, oh yeah, Israel's an apartheid state. We need to address the apartheid concern, the issue of apartheid. It took a genocide for them to acknowledge apartheid. It took a genocide for them to acknowledge apartheid. It took a genocide that is still ongoing for them to acknowledge apartheid, for that to be an understanding of any Democratic politician, for that to be something they embrace in their political campaigns, right? We haven't seen them do anything about it yet, but understand that this will be a talking point that the Democratic Party will accept and encourage moving forward, right? There's going to be some holdouts, but in 10 years, it'll be understood that, hey, yes, we can call Israel an apartheid state. And this is why I was pushing back against the liberal Zionist propagandists on the Majority Report that solely focus on the apartheid aspect, because apartheid is not the primary contradiction when we're talking about a settler colonial project. The settler colonial aspect, the reality of it, is the primary contradiction, because you would not be able to impose apartheid without colonization, without occupation, right? You need that first and foremost. When we're laughing at Hutch glorifying his Confederate ancestry, dehumanizing, and they didn't even bother to find the name of the enslaved African that their great-great-great-grandfather abused, right? I'm sorry, that threw me off. That pissed me off all over again. God damn, fuck, man. White people are just shameless, bro. Like, I guess saying it out loud again just pissed me off all over again and threw me completely off. My apologies. Damn. I forgot the connection I was making to that because I just saying it out loud. I was like, yeah, that's right. This fool was glorifying his ancestry. But at the larger point, about fascism. This whole idea that, well, yeah, some segregation kind of sort of is fascism, but not every segregation is a fascist. All this BS, bro. You cannot impose apartheid in these particular situations without settler colonization, which requires this. It's before we even talked about fascism. This was implemented against indigenous people around the world, right? Apartheid is birthed out of settler colonialism in this regard. And we need to acknowledge that. Excuse me. So this is just unsurprising, unimpressive. This should not be glorified. We should be concerned that this is the narrative that is not being adopted by the Democratic Party, the front runner over here. I really don't see, unless some scandal breaks out, unless he was like in the Epstein files, something like that. I don't see anything happening to where Newsom is not the presidential nominee. This whole thing with Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, stop. One, you should not be supporting that. But I mean, that would be the end of whatever socialist, communist, anarchist potential we have for at least 2-3 generations. It'd be a wrap. But the leftist mafia, the Hassan Pikers, we would have a reign of their terror, normalizing the atrocities that AOC will carry out. Because it would be numerous, there would be plenty of excuses, and it's going to be inspirational to all brown little girls around the world, right? So I don't understand how Gavin Newsom, I mean, bro, I'm out here in California. I don't understand how he does not become the Democratic nominee. And I just can't conceptualize how he doesn't win the presidency. Because, man, even the stigma of California to the rest of the country or the center of the country, I don't think it'll be sufficient. I think he is far too charming, conventionally attractive, too fucking tall. I mean, it's Hollywood through and through to not win. And he likes to engage in that verbal debate. So I think he's got it locked in. I mean, I think it should have been known for a while. All right, let's watch the actual video where he finally embraces this and says it.
And with China, as they're strengthening those relationships because they're starting to decouple or de-risk their relationship with the United States. But the issue of Bibi's interesting because he's got his own domestic issues. He's trying to stay out of jail. He's got an election coming up. He's potentially on the ropes. He's got folks, the hard line, that want to annex the West Bank. I mean, Freeman and others are talking about it appropriately, sort of an apartheid state. They couldn't even, I mean, we're talking about regime change. For 2 years, they haven't even been able to solve the Hamas question. In Israel,
the Hamas question. What do you mean by that? The Hamas question. What do you mean solving the Hamas question? What he means is destroying the Palestinian armed resistance movement. That's what he's talking about. That is the Hamas question. How do we get these indigenous savages to stop resisting, to capitulate? That is the Hamas question. Hamas, or however the fuck they say it.
Israel. So this is, I mean, you know, I want to be careful here, but you know, in so many ways, that influence in the context of the conversation of where Trump ultimately landed on this is pretty damn self-evident. And so Rubio may have been saying something else in the context of what he ultimately said in terms of being sort of pulled into some of these things. But I will say this, didn't surprise me in this context. I don't know if it was Napoleon or whoever said about a sword, the only thing you can't use a sword for is sitting on it. And when you bring 2 aircraft carriers out there and you assemble the kind of military force that Trump did over the last few weeks, it didn't surprise me ultimately that they moved that direction.
Do you think, looking down the road, that the United States should consider maybe, you know, rethinking our military support for Israel?
What breaks my
you know, maybe perhaps just possibly just theoretically speaking, how would I word this? Not funding and defending and excusing and protecting a genocide. You think that's possible not to continue supporting settler colonialism globally for our benefit? You think it's possible not to support another European fucking colonial project? Is that possible? Do you think we have it in our hearts? Fucking, oh man, children ass shit.
my heart because the current leadership in Israel is walking us down that path where I don't think you have a choice but that consideration. I mean, to say this is in America's interest at a time when affordability is at crisis levels, where you had an administration who literally got elected saying this is exactly the opposite of what they would ever consider doing. The fact that we are in this now regional war, all these proxies, the fact that we, you know, and all the grift and the corruption, that's also marks a huge part of this. And that's a real conversation we need to have, this board of peace. And the peace that the Witkoff family is getting, and the peace that Kushner is getting, and the peace that Trump Jr. is getting.
You saw what he did there? You saw the... Bro, how is he holding that mic? How is he holding that mic when it's on fire, bro? Did you hear that fucking wordplay? Did you... oh, let me break it down for you. That's a double entendre right there. See, he's talking about peace, right? Peace in the Middle East. And then he said, no, a piece of the pie. Oh, fuck, bro. He got my vote. He's got my vote. It's over. It's a wrap. He's got my vote. I don't know. I'm going to door knock for this guy. And the crowd was like, yo, bro. I think that went over a lot of y'all's head. Like it's cool. It's fine. It's fine. You know, you got to be a lyrical miracle in order to understand these type of bars. It's just too much. Man. You know, his speechwriters were like, fucking pencil after pencil, because that shit was they were just burning. They were burning. It was too much. One more time, fuck it. Because I'm telling you, a lot of you people, you know, you listen to music, but do you really listen to music? Do you actually break down the lyrics? You know, before Genius was out, we had to like pull out the little booklet and read.
Real conversation we need to have, this board of peace. And the peace that the Witkoff family is getting, and the peace that Kushner is getting, and the peace that Trump Jr. is getting.
Say it with me. Bars.
You just got to reconsider the whole thing. You just have to. And, you know, that's a stubborn... I didn't expect to be in that place.
Yeah.
You know, a few years ago, let alone, you know, where we are today. And it's accelerating in real time in a deeply, deeply alarming way. And it's just one of many alarm bells that are ringing. And we can get to democracy, our republic. We can get into what's happening with the, you know, secret police. You know, the bovinoification of our, you know, of our streets, and what's happening in this country with democracy. You know, it's a precious and
bovinoification of our streets. Nah, see, now they're doing too much. Overproduce. Too many writers, too many cooks in the kitchen. You can't have too many ghostwriters. You just can't do it. You're going to step on each other's toes. You need to have a cohesive narrative. A bovinification of our streets. Wow. I think that's trying to bite off the whole like Obama thing a little too much. Like the Obamacare stuff. Instead of, yeah, that's just too much. It's too much. But again, I blame liberals for this whole, the American Gestapo. The American Gestapo. Lávate las manos. Man, if you don't know this one, I should not be getting sidetracked. But this is my favorite moment in in just animated fucking cartoon history. Roger tricks Steve into thinking that this is fucking Hogwarts. I'll play that little snippet. Hold on.
I know it doesn't look like much, but...
Oh, you muggles. Clearly there is a spell at work here hiding the true appearance of the school. You wouldn't understand how these things work.
What?
We're gonna skip. They think he's a new cook.
He who shall not be named.
This is Hoppy. He knows what to do.
My potions partner. You're
My potions partner. They're making potions, all right.
my Ron Weasley.
Lávate las manos.
Is that a spell?
Lávate las manos.
Lavate las manos.
Lávate las manos.
Lávate las manos.
Lávate las manos.
Lávate las manos.
When I first saw this, and it's still great. It's still great. When I first saw this, I was crying, rolling off the couch. I literally physically crying, rolling off the couch, struggling to breathe. This is, it's just perfect. It's the greatest. It's the best. I've always been a big supporter, big advocate for American Dad. The whole side story with Roger's golden diamond encrusted turd is just a story, such a beautiful story of corruption. If you like Lord of the Rings, you'll dig that. But Lávate las manos, like till this day, I'll shout that. It's too good. It's too good. All right, come on. We have 2.5 hours. Yep. Key. One magical spell at a time. Yeah, the CIA had these magical fucking casting spells for sure.
In perilous time, but it also has parallels. And some of those are reflected in some of the storytelling in the book. And
oh, this is like a book tour? This is like a whole Harris thing. Thank you. I was I'm casting the spell wrong. Casting the
appropriately, sort of an apartheid state. Want an election coming up. He's potentially on the ropes. He's got folks, the hard line, that want to annex the West Bank. I mean, Freeman and others are talking about it appropriately, sort of an apartheid state. They couldn't even, I mean, we're talking about regime change.
So, I mean, does he really call it an apartheid state, or he's like, some people are calling it an apartheid state? This reminds me of Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez when she was like, some people use that word. Should be here.
Some of your colleagues, and we talked about what's happened at the protests this week, have called the president Genocide Joe. Do you agree with that word, genocide, that the president's been supporting a genocide, or does that go too far?
I think what we are seeing right now throughout the country.
This is the spineless hack. Whole like origin story or retcon as hell. The whole origin story, just lie after lie. She was just a brown girl from a small town, just a bartender down on her luck. No mention of her already political ambition and being an intern for a fucking Kennedy, bro, for a Kennedy. Didn't call it a genocide until she got the approval from Genocide Joe and Holocaust Harris. Switched her no vote on funding the Iron Dome to a president and then pretended to cry crocodile tears right in front of the camera. C-SPAN loves it. Just so her constituents know that, hey, she'll support Zionism, but she has a heart of gold. When MGT is to your left and you're excusing shit. Very much so, David. Very much so. Soulless eyes. Soulless eyes.
Is that young people are appalled at the violence and the indiscriminate loss of life. The fact that this word is even in play, the fact that this word is even in our discourse.
This word, this magical the word that shall not be named until I'm allowed to. She says it once.
I think demonstrates the mass inhumanity that Gazans are facing. And so whether you are an individual that believes this is a genocide, which, by the way,
whether you are, not that she believes it was a genocide, whether you are. But we love our Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez.
In our polling, we are seeing large amounts of Americans concerned specifically with that word. So I don't think that it is something to completely toss someone out of our public discourse for using.
Some of your colleagues.
And of course, doesn't answer the question. You gotta love it. She's getting better. She's getting better. Or, she's been improving, I should say. This is a while. All right. So yeah, you see here, same bullshit.
For two, he's got folks, the hard line, that want to annex the West Bank. I mean, Friedman and others are talking about it appropriately, sort of an apartheid state.
Friedman and others are talking about sort of an apartheid state. Let's just read the transcript. Your Honor, I present to you. He's got folks, the hardline, that want to annex the West Bank. I mean, Friedman and the others are talking about it appropriately, sort of an apartheid state. Then people are celebrating this as evidence that, hey, we could push them left. We could push them left. Just like Emma Vigeland was saying we could push, Biden, and then she switched up. We could push Harris left. Meanwhile, anyone with a conscience, which already was necessarily almost non-existent to work for that segregationist, had already left his administration in protest of his continued defending funding of the genocide of Palestinians through the Zionist proxy. So who was going to push him left? Who was going to be around him that was going to push him left once you reelected him, or once you elected Harris, who was running on everything Biden stood for? No daylight, right? Between them. When asked point blank, what would you have done differently? She said, I can't think of anything. When asked point blank, would you, treat the Zionist entity different than Biden? She said, nope. I don't know what more evidence these people needed. They're opportunists. They want you at the end of the day to vote for the Democratic Party. That's all they care about. They can bark all they fucking want, but there is no bite. If a genocide of Palestinians is insufficient, what will it take for the Hassan Pikers, for the Emma Vigelands, for the Sam Cedars, for the Vanguard, for the leftist mafia not to support the Democratic Party? How many genocides? Or is it something specific about these genocides? Who they're carried out on that they really truly value? We saw with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was glorifying Trump's, handling of immigration. And then suddenly, two whites get got. Alex Peretti and Renee Good. And suddenly, this is a nightmare. I think that's been my best Bernie. Suddenly has an issue with Trump and immigration. Prior to that, he was in Tim Dillon's show applauding the man. These are white supremacists. We have to understand that. Their supporter, Grant Platner, highlights it. So let's move on forward. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe if you're sick and tired of all these white opportunists claiming to be part of the left, but being nothing more than the center-left flank of the Democratic Party. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I go live. That is Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. The Patreon is up and running if you want access to Discord. We got YouTube memberships. We got the Cash App going on. Support however you can. But more importantly, get busy in the chat. Don't be scared, homies. We have a good time here. We have a good time. All right, moving forward. Somebody asked about the YouTube members getting access to Discord. My thing is, I don't know how to message y'all. I wouldn't know how to message members. That's the only downside. So let me look into that. I forgot who somebody has. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, Goblethead. Can I join the Discord with YouTube members, or is it only for Patreon? Look, I'm still awkward about this. You know what I mean? I'm still awkward about all this, the financial aspect of it. So I just, I would need to know your Discord username. That's the thing. But also like connected to you, I guess. That's the weird thing. I believe you could do a members only video post with the link in the Discord. Okay. I'll look into that. I appreciate the patience though with all this. I mean, honestly, if you go back to my old streams, it was never a goal of mine to have any financial component to this. And then slowly but surely, I just started investing more time into it. FD got in my head and was like, sell out, make money, cream. And I was like, you're right. It's awkward, but it is what it is. All right, let's move forward. Oscar, we definitely need voices like yours, but you got to remember how deeply right the country is, the birthplace of modern fascism. And my point is, we need to keep pushing left. Americans are propagandized. Yeah, for sure. But we also need to recognize that that liberals, these sockdams, progressives, radicals, whatever they want to call themselves, are the enemies of the working class and are holding us, holding us back and birthing and normalizing fascism when they deem it okay. No, I'm not throwing Dignifier under the bus. The FD effect. No, I mean, honestly, like, like I said, and I'll be honest, I try not to share too much because I don't like the whole parasocial stuff. But I think the car accident kind of confirmed that he was on point, because I would have been in a bad situation if I didn't have y'all support. So thank you, honestly, genuinely. Thank you, and thank you to him for helping me through my stubbornness. Especially that first generation mentality of never asking for assistance, never asking for handouts because of the stigma, that is placed upon us and our, as anchor babies, and then on our guardians, our caretakers as, immigrants. Está difícil. It's difficult to kind of break through that mental barrier. But again, I mean, it was evident that working class, brown, broke ass needed to stop being so prideful, All right, let's move forward. Key, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Y'all know I don't like compliments, but I know my own stubbornness, and that helps. All right, before we go down to the main subject, let's read a little bit about this. From Al Jazeera, just be aware. Why are the U.S. and Israel framing the ongoing conflict as a religious war? I mean, the short answer to this is you need this aspect of religious, fervor in order to avoid criticism and avoid people asking material questions, right? I always joke around about being a bad atheist, and that's because, I don't know, call it the Catholic upbringing where we believe in too many fucking entities and we read too much into shit. Whatever it is, so I have trouble just being clear-headed about a lot of things. But because of that, I'm hyper aware of how that is manipulated and weaponized. And although I'm sympathetic and at times almost envious of those who do have faith, right? Right now it's Ramadan, and the people that I know that are practicing and participating in Ramadan, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to witness. While I'm stuffing my face with fucking horrible fucking trash food, right? But it's not for me. I can't, I can't believe in it again. And I barely ever did to begin with. Thankfully I wasn't raised in some type of I was raised Mexican Catholic, where it's like, you go to misa every once in a while. It wasn't any hardcore stuff like that. Very to the convenience, and I'm grateful for that. I did study with some Jehovah's Witnesses for a little bit, and I admired their discipline. Like, they don't watch certain movies, they don't celebrate birthdays, like holidays, like stuff like that. I'm like, all right, cool. If you're gonna be about it, be about it. I like that. Which, when I started learning about Islam a little bit more, I like that. I'm like, all right, discipline. That's dope. I like that. I need that. I wish I believed in this so I could use that. I view it as a little cheat sheet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I view it as a little bit of a cheat sheet once you have like that religious blueprint. And I think if you believe in it, you should follow it to the best of your abilities and challenge yourself to follow it. Because I do think it improves your life overall, that structure, right? And maybe that's bias of me. So, I've had tough conversations with homies who from different faiths who, have fucked up, made mistakes, this and that. And I'm like, look, man, like, if you really believe in that stuff, and I'm here to guide you away from it if you want assistance in that. But if you truly believe in it, use it to guide you, to help you in these difficult times. Because look, I'm gonna be biased. I'm not trying to pat myself or any atheist in the back, but it's kind of like, when you got no safety net, when you got nothing to fall off on, it's on you. And it's hard to get that motivation to be, clear-headed and disciplined and your morality without that fear of like, oh, I got an overseer. I got somebody watching me. There's consequences at the end of this fucking game. When you don't have that, and when you look at the most evil and corrupt individuals, just out for themselves and gaining so much out of it, and you don't have any spiritual guidance to tell you, hey, don't do that. That's not what a good person does. You just have your own compass and morality. Se pone difícil, it gets difficult. Not to become a scumbag, right? I can admit that's a little harder. It's easier if you're raised a certain way with certain values, but those values may be connected to religious, practices. So it gets muddied. It gets muddied real quick. But I'm like, if you really believe in this stuff, follow it to the best of your abilities, because some of the happiest people that I know, some of the nicest people and just warm-hearted individuals that will light up a room, the majority of them do practice their faith, right? And they won't be able to quote you. It's funny, they won't be able to quote you all these scripts or whatever, but they're inspired by the teachings, and they want to reflect that in the way they treat others and the way that they carry themselves. That is the beauty that I've seen. Right? Usually the scripture readers, the Bible thumpers, the Quran pushers, usually those are the ones that are like a little bit bullshitting, a little hypocritical. But when the people that are actually walking, in the footsteps of their spiritual guides and leaders and gods and whatnot, those people are usually the ones I admire the most. Those are the people that I'm like, damn, all right, like there's some good in this somewhere. They're rare creatures, Catholic homies look into a theology of liberation. I mean, look, liberation theology is a reason why I stopped being so hateful with religion, especially when we look at like Central America and, their resistance to fascism, the way that the church abandoned them, the way that they stood fast and, what they believe to be true, the true word of God. That's what made me take a step back and stop being so hateful and so angry. But these are our minority fringe figures, and liberation theology does not leave the Catholic Church. Even if it did, I would have certain issues, but at the end of the day, it would be a whole lot better than what it is now. But I don't think it could exist in this world, at least not with the power and influence that it has, if it was pushing liberation theology. Sometimes I miss my Mexican Catholic church too, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, the sense of community, and to find that again, está difícil. That's why I say, look, if you can join an organization, even if it doesn't align with your politics 100%, always, as Glenn Ford told us, with your eyes wide open, with the realities of what you're joining and the people you're around. But that sense of community is so fucking powerful and beautiful. I'm grateful that, you know, my workplace has a union, that my coworkers are fucking hilarious individuals. You know, a big reason why I was inspired to become a shop steward, to you know, run for certain office and positions within the union, is because I truly fuck with my coworkers. And I'm like, all right, like, if I want to force them to hear me roast them and talk shit, they're an 8, 12, you know, 14 or double shift, the least I can do is use, you know, my smart ass mouth to help them out when they're in need. Doesn't always work out. It's a fucking losing battle. It's an uphill battle, but you know, that's my it's my version of spreading the gospel, you know, I guess. Spreading worker solidarity. All right. Let's go here. The whole point of that rant was to say that they need to use religion to excuse the reality that they're going through, that they're putting people through. As the conflict in the Middle East enters its 5th day on Wednesday, American and Israeli officials are pushing rhetoric, suggesting that the campaign against Iran is a religious war. On Tuesday, Muslim civil rights organization, the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, condemned the Pentagon's use of this rhetoric, deeming it dangerous and anti-Muslim. Why would you not provide the link for that? Let's see. Statement, Pentagon, I guess. Yeah, 1 day ago. It's suspicious that this wasn't linked, but okay. Maybe it's just an oversight. This is, look, you know, I don't like that conspiracy stuff. I think it's part of, you know, being an atheist, part of being, you know, materialist about all this shit. This is just not investing too much in satanic conspiracy theories, but this is, I mean, that is daunting. That is terrifying. That is chilling. Espresso Depresso. If you're looking to religion for community, you'll be disappointed. If you look to find it, I'm assuming you're saying in God, you can't go wrong. Well, that's against the Catholic Church and its teachings. All right. We need a priest. We need bishops. We need the Pope to talk to God. We can't do it directly. We're not worthy. So Espresso Depresso, that type of heathenist, heretic type of talk will not be tolerated in this traditional Roman Catholic stream of ours. All right. Bro, it's like, you know, Nick Fuentes probably got bullied, and like, you know, when they would send like the kids to like the little like the kids section of Misa, like, all right, all the kids, you know, come over here, we're gonna fucking indoctrinate you differently. Amen. Is this gonna birth the fucking conquistador character? We're gonna do like a little Catholic fucking character. En el nombre de Padre, el Hijo, el Espíritu Santo. I'm gonna learn Latin just to fuck with y'all. All right. Let's get to it. Oh man. The Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization, today condemned the Pentagon's use of dangerous anti-Muslim holy war rhetoric. to justify bombing Iran. One commander reportedly told non-commissioned officers at a briefing that the Iran war is part of God's plan. Our God needs blood. And that President Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Ooh, praise be, praise be, praise be. Oh, man. Look, I try to be respectful. I really sincerely try to be respectful. But like, how is this not like, if you hear that, you're like, okay, like just wherever you are mentally, you should not have any form of power or influence on greater society. Go ahead, believe that shit. Rah, rah, fucking write on your blog, tweet it away, Truth Social it, whatever. But you should not be allowed to hold a position of authority and power. It's just, this is terrifying. You could excuse anything and everything. You're calling for Armageddon, bro. You're not even calling for a U.S. victory. You're calling for Armageddon.
I'm afraid of like talking to people who are outside of my range.
It is perfect. Thank you for subscribing, man. It is perfect, man. It's like, what do you want? Victory? Nope. Destruction and death to all and everyone, to all the non-believing heathens. Man. I bet you he can quote you some scriptures. I guarantee that this motherfucker has scriptures ready to go. Men shall not lay with men. Women must be subordinate to their husbands. Oh, man. One commander reportedly told non-commissioned... Okay, we read that. Jesus, man. CARE also noted that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently referred to crazy regimes like Iran hell-bent on prophetic Islamic delusions. Delusions. While they're fucking high-fiving each other for Armageddon. Bro, whatever God favors you, whatever God would pick you as one of his sheep, whatever God would save you, would offer you salvation, is our collective enemy, is the enemy of humanity, right? These are, like when we talk about apocalyptic cults, self-destructive, suicidal cults. That's what the fucking, these reactionary evangelical Christians, these Christian nationalists, that's what they are. They seek death and destruction as a form of a path to freedom and redemption from like the world that they created. The world that they created, mind you, the world that they created. Don't believe in this Zog bullshit. The WASP created this fucking living hell that we're all in. They created this, and they're like, you know how we can solve this? By making shit worse. You know how we can solve the problems that we made on this, you know, if we're talking about blessings, if we're talking about miracles, on this miracle of life, this fucking ball of dirt that we're all very fortunate. I mean, be grateful for life, to be alive. You know what? You know how we can make it better? You know how we can save it? By destroying it, you know? It's why they'll never address climate change. I mean, if we really want to be like black pilled about it, which is like fucking lame Matrix, fucking red pill, fucking black pill, all this bullshit that these hyper online people talk about, or the slogans that they use, understand that the real issue is that what I struggle with the most in order to maintain my revolutionary optimism isn't like this, the conditions of the proletariat in the US and the belly of the beast. It's not that. It's not whether China is doing sufficient enough to help push forward, you know, the international socialist revolution. It's not that. It's not whether nuclear war will finally, you know, happen. It's none of that, bro. It's the fact that when we truly look at the books, when we truly see how bad climate change is, how much the pollution has affected the environment, that we will come to the realization that we've been lied to, that everything has been minimized, and that there is no going back. That there is no going back. That there is the path forward is extinction, right? That is what is truly concerning to me. That is what terrifies me. And they will never address climate change because the worse things get, the more that they are validated somehow. That's where we're at. The worse things get, the more fucking tornadoes, tsunamis, the more they're like, our God he's gonna do it again. Another flood. It's gonna happen. Our God is telling us that we fucked up, but he's gonna cleanse us through brimstone and fire. I don't even know what the fuck brimstone is. All right. And fire. That's how we're going to be saved. And so when everything's catching on fire, when floods and tsunamis are occurring, when people are dying from starvation, these fucking psychopaths are clapping. They're clapping. They're praying harder and being grateful. They kind of lost a little bit of their influence, a little bit of their flair. They kind of fell off, I'm not going to lie. What's that Baptist church? The one that would be like, oh yeah, like outside of soldiers' like funerals. What was the name of that chat? Come on, help me out here. What is that? What is that one Baptist church? I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm saying I like the fervor. I do. I like the chaos. I can't lie. Burstboro? How do you say that? Somebody help me out. I got an accent, y'all. Westboro. There you go. Westboro. There we go. Appreciate it. Hey, cabrones, cabronas, cabronexes. Hit the like button. Let's get busy there. Let's see the likes reflect the live stream. Viewers, I appreciate all of you being here. Triple digits. I am impressed. I am humbled. And I am grateful. Westboro. Yeah. They kind of fell off. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little disappointed. I want to see like was it 30 for 30? I want to see a 30 for 30 like sports documentary, like they had a dynasty. And then all the videos of them protesting outside soldiers' funerals, like they were notorious, they were known. And then kind of show the old heads of like the terrorists, the Christian terrorists bombing Planned Parenthood, since be like they were inspired and then they were going to carry the mantle of this dynasty, and then they fell off. I think MAGA just took too many of them. MAGA, QAnon took too many of them. They were never like obviously a huge movement. They were active. And you know what I think it is? I think the whole like Proud Boy, MAGA, all these fucking white nationalist movements, they get busy, bro, and they're patriotic as fuck. The fucking Christian nationalist aspect of it is like, don't disrespect our shoulders, So I think they would probably get down, bro, if they squared up. I think those people are not. I mean, look at January 6th. Are not afraid of catching a case. They have the money for it, and I think they would probably square up with them, if I'm being honest. They were also there, yeah. So the main, because I remember seeing Louis Theroux, right, did a documentary on them. But yeah, I remember seeing that. That's funny, man. That's funny. I haven't done this in a while. Let's set a goal. Let's set a goal for the last hour or whatever does it. I'm always awkward at this. Should I join the Westboro Church? I don't even know how to spell the name. I'm gonna go off of what you're all pulling. Hold on, let me spell that right. West. Oh, it's West. That's funny. Borough. It's like New York, right? They're out of New York. I don't even know how these things work, man. But it's fine. Error, please. Right? What the fuck? Oh, wait. I don't think it's gonna let me. This is why I don't do this stuff. I think I can make it. I think I can make it. Yeah, it's not letting me. That's fucking awesome. Let me just pull it back up. I need to know. I need to know, chat. I need to know if I have it. Let's see here. I think I know why it did that. All right, and then we'll get back to this. We don't even have a lot of time. I have an appointment, and we don't have a lot of time. I don't know why I'm doing this to y'all. I think we have an hour left on the stream, basically. Last time trying. If not, we're moving forward. It'd be nice if I didn't have dyslexia. I misspelled every other word. Yeah, it's not letting me. So it is what it is. See, I tried doing I tried playing the game. It's just not for me. Espresso Depresso, yes, thank you, Westboro. Daria, thank you. Everybody in the main chat, thank you. Westbro. Oh, it's Westbro, like the Westbro. But is it not O? Hold on. So the last O is silent? That's hilarious. All right, let's get back to it. Novak. I don't have like a
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Thank you, Ann Walker, for the super chat. Yes. They're losing. I love that optimism. I really do. And we need it. The future is bright. Cheers to that. Because of the ozone layer, right? Is that what you mean? All right. Novak, check out a documentary called was it Planet of Humans? It got a lot of pushback because somebody made an eco-fascist comment in it, but it was their opinion. They were wrong, obviously, trying to blame it on like humanity and not capitalism. But let me get back to you on that because there's this book about the ecological effects of colonialism and how the colonization of vaguely speaking, Turtle Island. Excuse me, and the climate effects that had. I can't remember what the name of that book was though. All right. Let's get back to it. In a statement, Washington, D.C. based CARE said, quote, every American should be deeply disturbed by the holy war rhetoric that Secretary Hexeth, Benjamin Netanyahu, and even some U.S. military commanders are reportedly using to justify the war in Iran. We are not surprised to see Benjamin Netanyahu once again using biblical story of Amalek, which claims that God commanded the Israelites to murder every man, woman, child, and animal. Doesn't matter how many men, women, or children I gotta for peace. Or what is it? In Peacemaker? Jeez, bro. I feel like not redoing the Superman video, but I need to do a longer video on James Gunn and his politics that will include the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, especially Peacemaker season 2, which is man, it's wild. That would be fun. Maybe down the road. I want to see what happens with the merger, the Paramount merger with Warner Brothers, in order to see whether or not he sticks around. All right, where are we? Yeah, every man, woman, child, and animal in a pagan nation that attacked them to justify Israel's mass murder of civilians in Iran, just as it did in Gaza. It is even more unacceptable for U.S. officials and military commanders to embrace similarly dangerous rhetoric, which risks turning this illegal and deadly war into a religious war. Here's the issue. By saying it's even more unacceptable, It's embracing the notion that we're not a Christian fucking nation, which all these liberals want to be like, no, the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution, separated church and state. Yeah, they did it because they didn't want the church taking over the fucking land. They wanted to make sure that the capitalists, the land speculators, the slave owners were on top. They looked over, because these are all European, these are all fucking Englishmen, essentially. Like, yeah, we can't allow the church to become too powerful. That's the reason. Not because they didn't want to coalesce behind this fucking Protestant Christian ideology. And I'm not saying they actually believed in it. Look at the Zionist entity. Most of the founders, if not all the founders of the Zionist project, were not practicing and devout practitioners of Judaism, right? They were opportunists. Culturally, it was there. Culturally, the influence was there. They weaponized that shit. Parallels within settler colonial projects weaponizing religion. You think the conquistadors, although, you know what? Maybe some of those were a little bit more actually like firm believers, because you had the Catholic Church saying like, no, go do this. I am the word of God. Go colonize and brutalize. So that was a little easier to do. So maybe some of those were true believers. But the heads of the Catholic Church, they fucking weren't, bro. They weren't. I'm sorry to break it to you. They weren't. I mean, we're devoted to them here in this channel. We practice the teachings of the Catholic Church for sure, and the doctrines, without question. But we know that we are the true believers and they're not. They're opportunists. Well, you know, we do as we're told around here. And so understand that, like, this whole notion that Europeans, capitalist Europeans, land speculators, did not proactively implement this Christian fucking ideology within the creation of this settler colonial project. It's just liberal cope. It's a liberal fucking cope. It's an attempt to make it seem that this project is somehow above and beyond other religious-based projects. That's what it is. Where are we at? So this whole notion of like, okay, it's even more unacceptable. It's just normalizing this settler colonial project and trying to remove its, you know, I was going to say fascistic, but it is, but no, the word fanatic, zealot. I mean, because we're talking about the people in the frontier. I mean, these people were truly believed that God promised them this land, that they needed to eradicate the savage in order to conquer the land that was given to them. Again, it's the whole Zionist fucking playbook. Mr. Hasek, there's I can't say this right now. I cannot even try to say this right now. I don't know why. Derisive. Or derisive? Derisive. Spoiler. Ah, okay, where are we? Oh, we're right here. What the fuck did I do? Oh, did I exit out? That's funny. Give me 1 second. Let me find it. All right, I found it. Derisive. Mr. Hex's derisive comment about Islamist prophetic delusions and an apparent reference to Shia beliefs about religious figures arising near the end times was unacceptable. So was U.S. military commanders telling troops that war with Iran is a biblical step towards Armageddon. Let me actually close this out here. This illegal war must end, and so must the dangerous religious rhetoric that everyone from Pete Hegseth to Benjamin Netanyahu is using to justify it. All right, nice. Not reading all this. But that's the initial statement there, referenced. All right, and then we'll jump over there for a second. The United States and Israel began their attack on Iran on Saturday and have continued to carry out strikes on Iran since then. In retaliation, Iran has hit back at targets in Israel, and the U.S. military assets in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq, and Cyprus. The U.S. watchdog has reported that U.S. troops have been told that the war is intended to induce the biblical end times. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also recently stated that Iran is run by religious fanatic lunatics. Man. Good thing we don't have that over here. Good thing we don't have that over here. U.S. watchdog Military Religious Freedom Foundation said it has received emailed complaints that U.S. service members were told that the war with Iran is meant to cause Armageddon or the biblical end times. How do you not just tap out from that and say, hey, you know what? I honorable discharge or some shit on religious grounds. Something, right? No, fuck these fools, man. I'm going to write an email. We're not doing this for the right reasons. Lie to me better. Jesus. An unnamed non-commissioned officer wrote in an email to MRFF that a commander had urged officers to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelations. Love it, love it. Referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. The MRF is a nonprofit organization dedicated to upholding religious freedom for U.S. service members. Oh, ain't that nice? A nice, religiously diverse military. That's what we need. The officer claimed that the commander had told the unit that Trump has been anointed by Jesus. Anointed by Jesus. Anointed by Jesus. What would our brave founding fathers... what would they think of this? To light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return, his should be capitalized, in fact, boldened to earth. Israeli and U.S. leaders have also resorted to religious rhetoric in public. Last month, Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, told conservative U.S. commentator Tucker Carlson during an interview that it would be fine. It would be fine if if Israel took essentially the entire Middle East because it was promised, because it was a promised land. Because it was promised, the land in the Bible. However, Huckabee added that Israel was not seeking to do so. That is ridiculous. In fact, I'll play a little bit of this before moving forward here. What is this, man? Craig Jones, man. I don't know. Sometimes he's honest. Sometimes he's just... who knows? It's probably a stunt, though. Where are we? Here's Morgan. Nope. Actually, it is this one. It's Glenn Greenwald. Doesn't speak much on this. Is it this one? It's maybe. Sorry, give me 1 second because I think I wasn't planning on pulling this up. Where he says borders or something. No, then it's not borders. It is. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we can start here. I don't know if that's where it was.
Glenn.
I mean, this is the victim mentality. The whole world is against us. We just want to be a peaceful country. The reality is it's not the position of the Iranian government that their borders should be expanded. It's the position of the Israeli government that their borders should be radically expanded, including into places and in ways that the United States government for decades under both Democratic and Republican leadership has said is a direct threat to American interests. Settlements in the West Bank, annexing the West Bank, moving into Gaza, bombing Lebanon, expanding into Lebanon. This is the fanatical, expansionist, nuclear-armed, dangerous power in the Middle East that the United States pays for, that American soldiers die for. And this narrative used to be dominant in the West, but people have seen the true face of Israel and U.S. support for Israel over the past couple of years, and you see it in polling, not just in the United States, but around the world, that people see Israel and increasingly the United States as the rogue countries that are the true danger to the world. As an American, I wish that weren't true. I'm doing everything possible in my power to change it. A lot of other people are as well, but that is the reality for now.
Okay, Goldie, just very quickly, because we've run out of time, but Polymarket are predicting in relation to the question, will the Iranian regime fall by June the 30th? They currently have it at a 41%.
I don't think that's the part that I was trying to look at, which is unfortunate. Because they have a little back and forth about Greater Israel. Let's see. What do they call that? What do they call Greater Israel? I always forget. Sumeria. What do they call that shit? Sumeria. Maybe that'll help me pull it up. Is it Sumeria or Sumeria? Sumeria. Oh yeah.
Gaza. Did your homeland include the West Bank? Did your homeland include the West Bank?
Okay, let me.
I'm
going to come to you. I'm going to come.
Definitely, our homeland includes Judea and Samaria.
And Gaza?
Yes, if you're asking about Judea and Samaria, if you ask about Judea and Samaria, yes, that is part of the Jewish
which the whole
homeland.
world thinks is not yours. Which the whole world believes is not yours. You're the expansionist state. You're the aggressor state.
No, we're not expansionist.
You're the terrorist state.
No, we're not expansionists, but we refuse to have concrete borders because we want Greater Israel. Isn't that great?
And you're financed by the United States.
People that came back to our homeland.
That's
we were
right.
expelled from it, and we came back.
You're Europeans. You're Neanderthals at best.
Okay, don't talk.
I don't think
Jonathan,
you've had to pay excuses.
Jonathan, I gave you good time, Jonathan. I want to let Glenn finish with a response to what you just said. Glenn.
I mean, this is the victim mentality. The whole world is against us. We just want to be a peaceful country. The reality is, it's not.
It was just right before that. My apologies, y'all. Let me do this. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break. Go ahead and hit the like button. Super chat, super stickers are turned on. Join the Patreon if you can. Subscribe if you haven't already. Deculturation Live just hit 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate you all over there. And let me leave you with this, and I'll be right back. You know, we don't play other people's content around here. We don't steal from them like that. So I'll leave you with this. Making us laugh, you're checking in on us. Yeah, obviously you're going to get a better tip. That's just the way shit works. You know, sometimes you don't even think about it. You're just immediately going, fuck it. Here you go. You're like, you made this experience more enjoyable, right? That I don't need that. I don't. Is this Chrome froze? That's weird. Oh, watch it not respond. I'll be pissed. Or is it just YouTube? I know YouTube's been acting up. Your day off and your boss was being an asshole. You're being culturally curious. What does that have to do with tipping? Explain it to us. Let's hear it. I want to hear the full explanation. Because you got an answer, apparently. So let's hear what the answer fucking was. You learned about it. You kept that conversation safe in your heart, close to your heart. So let's hear about it.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was black.
Who was black? Like the buildup. Can't leave that part out. Look.
The feelings of lack of agency. And the point of the thread was to ask the question. Amusingly enough, I remember this time when I had first started bartending. And
amusing. This shit's amusing. Okay. All right, but look how he stops. I had a friend who was black. Watch it.
Then I had a conversation with a friend of mine.
Builds up to it. Like he has to say it. Like he has to I'm gonna say I have a black friend in public. Oh, I'm gonna say I have a black friend in public. Oh, I'm gonna say I have. People are gonna. friend and black in the same sentence. I'm gonna say.
Who was black?
Who was black?
Who was a bartender?
Oh my god. I couldn't stand that guy, but thank goodness he got hired. I opposed people hiring him, but I could finally use him. It was finally worth it.
Who did a great job of walking me through structural injustice and the fact of feelings of lack of agency. There were a whole bunch of reasons, and after that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes
So there's a whole bunch of reasons why they weren't tipping you. Is that what he said? There's a whole bunch of reasons why they weren't tipping you. Not because you're the type of fucking person to go on Reddit and ask, why don't black people tip? I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. Yeah. You weren't the problem. Yeah, I'm sure.
Makes absolutely perfect sense. It was certainly not meant as a malicious thing. I was asking the question because that was kind of the point of the thread, actually.
So you're saying that this is not something that you were shitposting about. This was not something that you felt, it wasn't meant to be a commentary. It was a question you were sincerely asking on a Reddit thread because you thought there might be some sort of like cultural explanation or something. Is that what you're saying?
I love when they try to rationalize shit like this. I love when they try to like intellectualize. Oh, no. You weren't being racist. You were like, you're being culturally curious. You're kind of like an anthropologist if you think about it by asking that question, which doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, I like there was I grew up in Maine. I had never bartended before.
I thought he was gonna say, I grew up in Maine. I was never around black people before. I thought that's what he was gonna say. But no, he's like, I've never bartended before.
I was living in Washington, D.C. And I honestly, I reread a lot of the comments for obvious reasons. Many of them I'm like, oh God. That one I must say, I was legitimately curious. And it was not.
Oh, see, when I first heard this part, I haven't listened to the entirety, but I listened to a little bit of this. I'm like, I can't do this right now. Look, if I'm not here making y'all suffer with me, it's difficult for me to put up with these white people like this. So what he's saying is, so initially when I heard him say that, I thought he meant that he was rereading the comment section. And then he was like uncomfortable with some of the responses that he got. No, he's saying that he was reading through other questions people were asking and that he found those repulsive compared to his question that was sincere and innocent. He's literally saying, hey, there was other people more racist than I was.
Certainly not meant in any malicious way. And I got an answer soon afterwards in reality from an actual person. But
got it. Okay, so another one that's gotten a lot of attention is there were posts from 2013 where it seemed like you were playing down the challenges faced by members of the military who were trying to report sexual assault allegations. The first post was, in today's current climate, when every whisper of a misplaced hand brings down a feature-length film, anyone who actually thinks the military is purposely covering up rape to save a career of some goddamn captain is clearly both an idiot and junior enough in rank or life experience to think it matters. And then there was another post where you suggested that the way to avoid getting sexually assaulted was not to get blacked out drunk.
I hate that. Read the whole fucking thing. Read. All right, read, beloved, read. Shout out Jared, Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. Just this beat, little beat over here. I don't know, bit, I guess. Where is it? If you haven't, just watch this little, I think he had a clip. Hiram is just, let me just pull this up real quick. We don't have a lot of time, but I have to pull this up. Man, Hiram, if I walk into a room and Hiram's in there, I'm like trying to fix my non-existent tie. That's how fucking nervous I am. Like, oh yeah.
Everything that is happening now and everything that happens to us is because it's done with our consent. Whether we vote for these presidents or not, it is still done with our consent. There are no consequences for why these folks do these things. There's never a consequence for bombing children, for killing children around the world, for killing people in this country with ICE agents. Our inability and our unwillingness to fight and to fight the fight that is necessary in this country, inside of the core, right, of empire, is what is allowing not only the enslavement of the world, but ultimately the enslavement of us as well. Our unwillingness to make sacrifices. Because like James Boggs says, right, in his book, the revolution in the United States would look different because it's not going to be about winning things, winning material things. It's going to require for us to give up material things, sacrifice material things. And we here in the United States just don't want to deal with that and don't want to fathom that.
Go listen to the rest of, even everything he says before it. A fucking intellectual giant, a behemoth. You know what I mean? Exactly. How is it that, like, y'all know that I'm a fan of a lot of these individuals, and it not only inspires me, but also makes me like be like, yo, what am I doing on the mic? What am I doing on the mic when it's like, And my hope is that somehow I can influence people that may be here for like kind of the more petty shit, more of the drama stuff, whatever, more of bashing on the liberals, or maybe liberals themselves and just, want to hear different perspectives. This is what you got to listen to. I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate all the support. But Hiram, man, there's levels to everything. There's levels to everything. Sorry if I'm pushing some hierarchy kind of, there's levels to everything, and Hiram is top tier. All right, go check that out if you haven't already. And Mtume, he gets down there as well. And shout out to Jared for just creating such a beautiful space. Yeah, man. If y'all were wondering why I hesitated when Jared, invited me on, if y'all were wondering why I was like, yo, you sure about this? Is because, this is the reason why I would tune into Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. So there's levels to it. I recognize it, and it just makes me want to improve and get better and do more and not just sit on this mic on these streams, because I want to be able to walk into a room with Hiram, individuals like Hiram, and be able to look him in the eyes and shake his hand and say, hey, I'm doing my best. That's literally it. Thankfully, I got time, because these old timers, I got to remind myself, I gotta hold on and cling to something. And it's the age. I'm like, all right, I got time. All right, let's get to it. So look at this. Platner sat for Platner sat for a lengthy interview with anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists, said he was a longtime fan of his show. And then it's like, wait a minute. Jewish Insider? Clearly, they must be lying. Clearly, they must be taking this completely out of context, because Jewish Insider is a Zionist publication. So clearly they're smearing a Christian white man of Irish descent or whatever the fuck, like Grand Planner, a war hero. And this is an excuse a lot of rat libs are using for why we shouldn't take this serious. And so, of course, it's like, hey, Grand Platner talked about loving war and the bloodshed and the chaos and death and destruction that he brought upon the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. And I believe I need to go back and relook at my notes, Africa as well. Like the northern tip of Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So let's not forget about that aspect of that as well. As much as the anti-blackness pushes us to ignore, AFRICOM and just the torment that the U.S. carries out in that region. So with that in mind, he gets the Totenkopf tattoo. Well, he did not get the Totenkopf tattoo, the death skull, the Nazi death skull, because he's a Nazi. He's an American patriot. He was in the U.S. military. How could he be a Nazi? All right, cool. Like we always have to do with white people. We have to give them an inch and they'll take the mile. But we all know the fucking game. So when we pull out the race card, when we call them white supremacists, we have to have a concrete fucking argument, a concrete position, or else we'll be dismissed, right? Our warnings and our cries will be dismissed. And so I tell you this. I don't think, nor do I care if he got the Totenkopf death skull tattoo because he's a Nazi, a neo-Nazi. No. I'm not even going to argue that position. It's a waste of fucking time. It's the reason why rat libs like Sam Cedar, Hassan Piker, Emma Vigeland, The Vanguard, Cal Kalinske, Crystal Ball, you name it. There's a reason why they hold on to that. Oh, you think this guy's a Nazi? Cool. No, I don't. I think he's a white supremacist. And he got that death skull tattoo to honor the destruction and death that he inflicted upon the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's the reason why he kept it. Because for him, it wasn't about being a Nazi. It was about bringing death and destruction. It was because he was a harbinger of death. He was riding that fucking pale white horse. And he's grateful for that time. If it wasn't for the U.S. military, this guy would be decapitating individuals and bury them in his fucking attic. We're talking about a true fucking psychopath. That's why he got a death skull tattoo. That's why he got a death skull tattoo. I don't think he follows the fucking tenets. What does John Goodman's character say in The Big Lebowski? The tenets of National Socialism, or I don't think he's a devout follower of that. No, I don't think that, nor do I care. What I know for a fact, objectively speaking, is that Grant Platner, in order to celebrate the death and destruction, I'm being repetitive for a fucking reason. The reason he got the tattoo was to honor the death and destruction that he inflicted upon the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. That is why. Don't let them fucking move the goalposts. Don't let them excuse or distract you with the Nazi accusations. The one thing holding together an SS officer and Grant Platner, a U.S. military veteran, a machine gunner, the thing holding them together is white supremacy. That's what it is. Inflicting pain, death, and destruction upon individuals that they do not view as white. Exactly. Say what you want about the tenets of National Socialism, but at least it's an ideology. Great fucking movie, man. Oh. Great fucking movie. All right. But nihilism, it's a step too far. So they want to dismiss this accusation because it's from Jewish Insider.
I'm afraid of.
But the reason why we have to rely, thank you for subscribing.
Who are outside of my race.
The reason why we have to rely on Jewish Insider for shit like this is because none of the so-called leftists, mind you, there's a reason why they use the term leftist and not socialist, communist, or anarchist, is because they're fucking liberals. They're leftists within the Democratic Party, a genocidal organization that they will support regardless of what torment they inflict upon the world, especially brown people and black people. They'll support them even more after that, apparently. Nobody within the white left is calling this out because they support this shit because they don't mind white supremacy as long as that white supremacy caters to them and the white working class. So let's watch this shit. Fuck it. Let's watch it. First of all, we'll start off with the fucking dog whistle of dog whistles. The dog whistle of dog whistles. You see the death skull again. This is a different depiction of it, but it's a death skull. This is a Green Beret proud of the death that he was bringing upon. I don't know his background. Civilians, innocent people. I'm sure he's invaded countless of fucking countries, many that he probably can't even speak on. But you see the death skull again. All right? You see the death skull again, and you're like, well, maybe that's not white supremacy. Well, you see the braids here. You see the weird little fucking Viking braids here. If you look closely, it's the details. It's the details. The dog whistles are in the details. You see the arrows up here again. U.S. military always, trying to weaponize and use indigenous iconography and wording, like Apache, right? The Apache helicopter, things like that. You've gone off the reservation, things like that. Shout out to a Red Nation podcast. Been tuning into their stuff a little bit more. They've been having great conversations. But here's the big one, Valhalla. The name of the channel is Valhalla VFT. I don't know what the VFT stands for. I don't give a fuck. But it's Valhalla. It is pretty wild and interesting how every fucking liberal, every single one of them, was laughing appropriately, mocking appropriately, and pointing out that Kash Patel, a brown man, remember, always ask an Indian or a reactionary Indian what caste he belongs to. Fair play. They all agreed. They all agreed. I need a cough. Hold on. They all agreed that he was doing a fucking dog whistle for Charlie Kirk, right? They all agreed that, didn't they? Let's watch what I'm talking about here. Kash Patel. Kash Patel.
This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions, and we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
We all recognize, even from a brown man, how one pathetic this is. I'll see you in Valhalla. We all recognize how fucking pathetic this is coming from a brown man. Homie, you ain't... I'm sorry. Not need to apply. No need to apply. Do not apply. You're good, bro. You're not making it to Valhalla, no matter what you do. I don't care how glorious the battle that you fucking go out in is. But we all understood collectively that this was a white supremacist dog whistle. We all knew that. We all knew that. Let's see. I haven't even checked this, but I'm just gonna see this out here. I'm sure they covered it. I don't know if they made a video of it, but I'm sure they covered it. Let's see this here. Maybe this. We'll find clips of this later for sure. They all cover this. I remember when this happened, they all covered it. Anywho, Valhalla is a dog whistle. It's a white supremacist dog whistle. We all know this. We all understand this. So when you have a military veteran using, again, bragging about the death and destruction they inflicted upon innocent people with a death skull and the word Valhalla, and apparently this FT is for fire training. But we know this. This is already more than enough to tell you this is a white supremacist. That's all it is. It's that simple. There's no point of arguing about this. There's no point of arguing with liberals about this. But they'll defend Grant Platner through and through. It's not enough to have a death skull tattoo. It's not enough to associate and be a big fan of Valhalla death skull guy over here. But let's go ahead and check out this video here, this conversation.
About 5 seconds. Tonight, everybody. Excited to have Graham on the show. Most of the channel already knows who you are, Graham. We talk about you quite a bit on the channel. I know the audience is pretty excited. You want to just a short introduction? Actually, you know.
Nah, don't want to hear it. 9:20. 9:20. Where we at? I just realized we have like 40 minutes. My apologies.
Honestly, man, because I'm fucking angry all the time. Like I got when I got back in 18, I was so cynical. Like I mean, I was already fully black-pilled. I mean, I was on the fuck this train, and it was. I thought I was getting to that point where like, did I just spend most of my 20s fighting in wars that are absolute bullshit?
Did I just spend most of my 20 fighting in wars that are absolute bullshit? As if he didn't fucking know. As if he didn't fucking know that they were bullshit from the start, but this is how you see the rewriting of history in real fucking time coming to you from Graham Platner. The rewriting history of Graham Platner. Unfucking bearable, these people, man. It's under the reply section. Let me find it here. Come on, y'all. Come on. Super fucking annoying. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Here we go. But he's doing even now. He's doing it even now. Even this, Raj.
Last week, Senator Susan Collins said that the Trump administration should attack Iran only as a last resort. Well, we know that that's not what has happened because Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated publicly that the reason we did this is that we knew the Israelis were going to attack Iran, and if they did that, Iran would respond, and therefore we have to attack Iran first, which is quite possibly the most ridiculous excuse for starting a war. This whole thing is insane, and it's getting worse. You know, Iranian missiles are getting through defenses. We are now telling American citizens to leave the region entirely. This thing is spiraling out of control. Susan Collins has the power to stop this. Senator Collins, I'm just going to ask you straight up. You voted to send me to Iraq.
A lie.
Did you not learn anything from that experience? You need to stand up. The American people do not want this war. The American people do not support a war that is going to get young American men and women killed, that is going to kill an immense amount of Iranian civilians, all on behalf of the Israeli government and the Saudi government, and, let's be honest, because Donald Trump wants a distraction from the fact that he's in the Epstein files. This is disgusting. It's absurd. And it needs
childish thinking. The Epstein files. The tail wags the dog. Israel. Saudi Arabia. No, it's in U.S. fucking interest. It's in U.S. fucking interest. Whether the Epstein files existed or didn't, this was going to happen. This was going to happen. I seen even fucking, was it Afani? Formerly from Fred Hampton's Leftist, pushing this. That the sole reason this is happening is because of the Epstein files. Grow the fuck up. It's embarrassing. You should not be allowed near a mic if you're saying some dumb shit like that. The Epstein files. Nothing was ever going to happen to Donald Trump. Nothing was ever going to happen to Bill Clinton. Nothing was going to happen to the capitalists and their political puppets, excuse me. Nothing was going to happen to them. They don't need fucking a war with Iran to distract from the Epstein files. How the fuck were we going to hold them accountable for their predatory behavior? How? For their disgusting pedophilic actions? How? That's not the system or structure that we have in place. You think they need to start a war for that shit? It's fucking pathetic. But here's the part that I'm talking about. Like you voted. Where is it? Here it is. You voted to send me to Iraq.
Did you not learn to send me straight up? You voted to send me to Iraq.
This is what I wrote. You chose to go despite knowing it was an unjust war. You were giddy to go invade Afghanistan after the war crimes in Iraq. Stop with the crocodile tears. You loved it. This is from a post that Grand Planner had. As a kid, I just liked playing war. When I got a little older into high school, I became a voracious reader of all things combat related. All things combat related. Is the SS part of that combat related thing? Okay. And developed a much deeper need to experience war for myself. Develop a much deeper need. Who talks about war like that? Disgusting. Oddly, I was also pretty politically active in high school, bro. I was trying to get 5 on it in high school. I was trying to get myself in all sorts of fucking trouble in high school. None of them involving politics. None of them involving going to war. I'm sorry. I guess I wasn't cool enough. Oh, man. Which led to my protesting the Iraq war before it kicked off. I found myself fighting in Fallujah within 2 years. The irony. Oh, gee. Oh, golly. Oh, gee willikers. The irony. Oh, man. That mixture of political awareness and deep-seated drive to experience war to its fullest brought me to steps of a Marine Corps recruiting office. But somehow it was Susan Collins fucking pushing this need for war like a psychopath. This is a bloodthirsty individual that you want to believe is anti-war. Mind you, just read his fucking platform. Just read his goddamn platform. He's calling for, bringing back the military-industrial complex. Replies. Because all I've been doing is replying to these psychotic individuals. That's funny as fuck. Where is it at? Here we go. I will work tirelessly to rebuild the American military. He wants competition in the military for contracts. He wants military contractors to compete amongst each other. How do you think military contractors compete? How do you think, realistically, military contractors compete by saying, hey, government, we can create more destructive weapons for you. We can brutalize and massacre innocent civilians with our weapons better than the next guy. And we'll do it for cheaper. That is competition that he's talking about. Reinvesting into closing the massive shipbuilding gap with China, bro. With China. And this is somehow an anti-war advocate. He's concerned about addressing. This is on his fucking platform. Just read their fucking platform. He's concerned about addressing the recruitment crisis. My bad. So here it is. Competition has virtually disappeared in many vital areas. He wants to reinvest into closing the military shipping gap. And he wants to work tirelessly to rebuild the American military. And somehow this was anti-war. Explain that shit. Please, someone explain it to me. Or maybe I'm not as intelligent as Sam Cedar, Hassan Piker, Mike from PA, apparently. Right? These white men are just too smart, too intelligent. I just can't comprehend how somebody who's running on that platform is anti-war. And he wants to send kids to war. If we are serious about addressing the recruitment crisis, why the fuck would an anti-war candidate be serious about addressing the recruitment crisis? Can somebody explain that to me? Please let me know in the chat in the comments. Tell me how. If you're anti-war, you're concerned about recruitment And you're calling it a fucking crisis? What do you need recruits for? To put out, to the fucking feed them to the fodder. That's why you need fucking people in your military. It should be viewed as a positive thing that your society doesn't have an influx of people wanting to sign up to do battle, to invade other countries. But don't worry, he's going to take some money out of these ungodly contractor and bureaucratic salaries and pay the rank and file a fair wage. In other words, I want to entice individuals to join the military so they can get 2 Camaros. Oh, man. So this was just a liar through and through, by the way.
Like, did I watch my friends die? Did I fucking kill people for shit that I do not believe in?
You knew this going in. You knew this going in.
Like, what? And then to like go back in 18 and see it from the headshed level at the embassy. And I was like, oh my God, this like you. And then I'd lived in DC for a few years. So I met a bunch of those people.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm sure you made no connections in DC.
I was like, you're the ones that made us go do this. You guys.
You chose to do this and you enlisted. No one made you do this. In fact, your family said, do not join the military, and you still went. Your parents, affluent, both of them. One's a business owner, one's a lawyer. Your grandfather was this rich fucking architect. You had no financial reason to join the military. Not only do you join the Marines, you get bored at home and you're like, I want to go back. The Marines say, no, you can't because of your fucking tattoos. And you're crying about that. All right, I'll join the army. You're done with the army? You got that itch. You get the fucking itch again. You become a fucking mercenary, bro. Why lie so consistently across different platforms? No, they did not talk about 6 hours. I think he only makes it for about an hour and then he dips out.
Guys.
Not out of lack of want, by the way, but because he wasn't home.
You don't even know what the hell. You're a bunch of nerds. You don't even know what's going on.
You're a bunch of nerds. You don't even know what's going on. Do you realize this is what he was trying to avoid? He was like, I don't want to be a nerd and just talk about it. I want to experience it. Look, when I call y'all nerds, it's because reading but again, I'm not here to defend these fucking Washington, D.C. individuals. I'm here to highlight that Grant Platner is a fucking liar. You're a bunch of nerds. 21, 26. Here you go.
Like, to me, it was not as, I don't know, it was a specific, like, to me, it was not as, I don't know, damaging in some ways, but it also was.
Oh, he's talking about PTSD. He's like, oh, to me, I was good. I love that shit.
Still struggling. I have friends.
None of them black, by the way. None of his friends were black. Just remember that part. Do not forget.
Say that I have friends who are frankly still struggling. I'm lucky that I'm lucky that like my brain functions a certain way where combat was a specific, like, to me, it was not as, I don't know, damaging in some ways, but it also was because I kind of liked it. And then
I kind of liked it. In fact, he liked it so much, he got a tattoo to reminisce about the death and destruction that he brought upon innocent civilians and those resisting invasion.
to deal with how do I deal with liking it when I don't. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yep.
But
you know how hard it is not to be able to invade foreign countries. You know how difficult it is not to be a machine gunner and point it at women and children. Nobody knows the torments. Nobody knows the suffering. I just try to harness my my fakeness, my Hassan pretending to cry for Palestinians. That's what I try to harness right.
But so we get a generation of young men and women who have bad dreams and drinking problems.
Yep.
And all because some guy at fucking Raytheon wants like a fourth house.
Bro. Again, understand that what he's advocating, what he's pushing, is so that the guy in Raytheon only has 2 houses. And that maybe somebody in the military who's committing war crimes, that maybe they can have 2 houses as well. That's what he's advocating for. He's not calling for the end of the industrial military complex. He's talking about competition within the military complex. Let's move forward 25, 22? Or, oh no.
Go hit everybody and be like, oh, you don't want to, you must hate all immigrants and you're a piece of shit. Like it's
right.
And it's this whole, and it's all fucking stupid because nobody ever wants to really undertake any sort of comprehensive reform. And I do think what you just said is actually one of the big reasons, which is that whether people like it or not, there are employers in this country that rely on undercutting wages using undocumented workers.
For sure. Bro,
Like, they want it. I mean, because the problem is if people are documented, or if you're employing immigrants here who are here legally, they get labor protections. They can.
Can you expand on that? Because I actually don't know about that. What you're talking about with labor protections.
So let's say you're an undocumented worker. Right?
We're going to skip through this, not because Graham Platner is making a good point. The point that you should always make is that if you're working in this country, you should have every right that any other worker has, and you should also be represented by the union, regardless of your legal status or not. That is the solution. If you are working and employed, you have every right that any documented, any nationalized, any US-born worker has. That's how you avoid the exploitation of undocumented labor. That is called solidarity within the working class. That's how you avoid it. And Nate over here pushes the great replacement theory. We're going to see what Jake Shields, right? Something that Hassan Piker tried to downplay, and that somehow these hordes of brown and black immigrants are going to replace the American culture. And so, of course, he has no idea. Oh, what do you mean they get taken advantage of? What do you mean? And Graham Platner breaks it down, but does not provide the adequate solution to that, because he still believes in enforcing borders. He's just upset that suddenly it's happening in broad daylight in suburban areas, that it's affecting white people. That's what, just like Bernie Sanders is hero. Damn, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. I have like 20 minutes and I got to dip. 31, 32. My bad, y'all.
Are good employees. We hired them. They went through the whole thing. They have no criminal records. They're not here illegally. ICE fucking kidnapped them and then shipped them out of state. Primarily because if you stay in state, now you have access to your attorney, you have access to your family, but you ship them out of state and suddenly getting access to people becomes much harder. That has nothing to do with immigration enforcement.
So here he's talking about, and we see, and I told you about this, I warned y'all about this, that they're going to use ICE to reform the image of pigs. And he's talking about correction officers that happen to be brown that got taken by ICE. And he's like, these were hardworking members of society. They were here legally. Can you believe they took them? Yeah, I can. Because it's a white supremacist project that you help to enforce abroad. And now you're crying that it's happening in broad daylight in the belly of the beast. So, yes, of course, I believe that Maine is 90% plus white, like 98% white. It's one of the whitest states in the country. Of course, all you people that downplay white supremacy are going to advocate and vote for him. Let's push forward. There's better moments in this. I'm just being a little selfish, not gonna lie. Let's try 45-21. Because I want to give some time to this.
A lot of people you are also trying not to shoot, right?
Yes.
Like
Equations, yes.
and had to use firearms.
They're bragging about how they conducted themselves better than ICE agents. They're bragging about how they conduct themselves better when they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, better than ICE agents here.
In highly stressful situations that included a lot of people you are also trying not to shoot, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
a lot. Like, I mean, this is for anybody that served in Iraq and Afghanistan and saw combat. Like you fundamentally understand that you are fighting in areas where it is full of people who you are trying
All the
not to
time.
hurt. All the
I
time.
tell people that all the
Constantly.
time. Civilians everywhere in the job that we
Everywhere.
do downrange.
And you are going out of your way to not do that. That's the fucking point. And to like come from a professional background where like we know what good looks like. We know what professional looks like. To watch these guys, I mean, it's like an insult to people that carry guns for a living,
including regular police officers, by the way.
That's what I mean. This is an insult to like armed professionals.
What did I tell you? That they were going to use eyes to rehabilitate the image of your average pig, because ACAB got a little too popular, even though it's been distorted and watered down by people like Hassan Piker, right? I told you that they were going to use eyes, and they're doing it now. You're watching it in real fucking time. Can you believe these ICE agents are just dishonoring the great service of the average pig? Can you believe it? This is despicable. They're doing it in real fucking time.
Because armed professionals don't pull this kind of garbage. Like, and I'll just say this. This is my personal opinion. Those dudes wanted to ace somebody. They went out that morning and they really, really wanted to throw some fucking lead into somebody.
Bro, you literally joined the military, the Marines, and the Army for that same exact reason. You said you liked it. You said it did not affect you mentally. That you didn't get PTSD like an average human being. That it was actually worse because you like that shit. You are these people. But you think it's okay when it happens abroad. You think it's okay when they're not Americans. You think it's okay when they're not white. You think it's okay when they speak a different language, when they practice a different religion. Then it's okay. Damn, bro. It is so fucking pathetic. There's where the fuck is it? There's one more that I was just absolutely blown away. This after Grant Platner leaves that I just found like chilling, bro, like disgusting. All right, I know where it's at. Yep. All right, I found it. 4 hours and 41 minutes in, but I just want to hear y'all see him wrap up. Okay, it's right here.
But so we'll have to dig into it. But no, a ton to get into. I'm an avid gun owner. I shoot USP. Democrat. His firearm. Decide that someday we're going to have to fight against sped. His firearm problems with
that too. So
we got
a lot more to talk about.
A ton to get into. It's a bummer being on the campaign trail. Like I'm not going to be able to go to matches this summer, which blows. But so we'll have to dig into it. But no, like the Second Amendment thing right now is just like it almost feels like somebody's playing.
They start crying about, oh, the reactionaries don't support Second Amendment anymore. Let's see. Here you go. Here's where he says he's a longtime fan of this guy.
Or so, and we definitely have more to talk about. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
I mean, as a longtime fan of the show, it's an absolute pleasure being here.
I appreciate you
and
for that,
at some point, we are actually going to have to talk about guns and shooting because that's a whole other.
All right, at some point we're gonna bro out and talk about guns. All right, cool. A longtime fan. 441 of this episode alone. 441 of this episode alone, and you see why Grant Platner It just changes like a fucking chameleon. Because remember, Grand Platner was telling people on Reddit that he was a communist, right? Check this shit out.
Nate, what's playing out right now is exactly how Yuri Bezmenov described it. You're not wrong. Deeper look into J.R. Ninquist and what he warned in the last 20 plus years is crucial for better understanding what's happening. Yeah. So if you haven't watched Yuri Bezmenov talk about sort of the plan forward for the West based off of the Soviet Union, this goes way back, you should watch that, because yes, a lot of what we're seeing is, I think, probably the 3-generation standpoint of things that have been put in place.
Who the fuck is Yuri Bezmenov? I didn't know who this was. And, you know, I love learning about, you know, these deep cuts that these white militia and white reactionaries and white supremacists push forward. I love the conspiracy theories aspect of it. Fucking delusional. So I'm like, who the fuck is Yuri Bezmenov? I look him up. Turns out he was in the Soviet Union. He deserted, or whatever they fucking called it back then. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Let me find him. Let me look him up. Right? Let me see what they're talking about. Let me see if I should have it in my history. Watch this.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 50% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interest of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology.
This is the Bolshevik fucking conspiracy theory. The Judeo-Bolshevik conspiracy theory that through Marxism-Leninism and communism being taught to your children in schools, that will bring down Western civilization to US. This is who Grand Platner was a longtime fan of. Somebody that's pushing conspiracy theories so fucking fringe that even I had to look up and I didn't know. This is who somebody who was calling themselves a communist was a big fan of.
I'm afraid of like talking to people.
This is what I'm talking about. Do the fucking research. Look up what these motherfuckers are talking about and who they associate with. We already saw the Valhalla being a dog signal, a dog whistle. We already saw the Death Skull being part of his PFTP, right? His profile picture. We've seen that. And now you see his chat bringing up some fucking obscure defector, Yuri Bezmenov's, talking about this weird ass conspiracy how Marxist-Leninism is going to bring down Western civilization. That they're coming after your children in schools?
Enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind. Even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place and who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. Obviously they will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike
This is a conspiracy bullshit that Graham Platner is a longtime fan of. While calling himself a communist, somebody that glorifies this lunatic, Yuri Beznovos. Who the fuck knew about this guy? This is deep cut conspiracy theory bullshit. It is wild. It is wild. It gets better. It gets better, y'all. It gets better. So he sat down with Jake Shields, right? And because we're running out of time, excuse me, I'm going to do this here. Of course, Hassan Piker defending him. Name me a white nationalist that the Democratic Party hasn't vetted, that isn't pushing, that, let's see, Jake, here we go. That Hassan Piker won't fucking advocate for.
Nakia, the podcaster Graham talked to, is a retired Green Beret who went on Jake Shields' podcast. That's who the anti-Semitic podcaster is, not even Nate. Oh my God. So
Nate is anti-Semitic. Nate is absolutely anti-Semitic. He believes that Israel, Zionists run the U.S. government. 100%.
They're doing secondary anti-Semitism. Like you might have interacted with a podcaster that might have interacted with an actual anti-Semitic podcaster. That's what it is. That's insane. Who gives a fuck? When I see a Jewish Insider article, I go, that's probably a good guy. And you should too, okay?
Do you know why? Because Jewish Insider doesn't like Hassan Piker. This motherfucker really thinks my enemy's enemies is my friend. That's how childlike his mentality is.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Harutsu, thank you for the super chat. Platner is just an extension of Hoover's vision.
That's it. How many times have they written about me as a fucking anti-Semitic terrorist?
This is narcissism through and through. Narcissism through and through. He has to make it about himself. To do what? To push a fucking war criminal?
Jesus Christ. Wake the fuck up. Those are some of the reasons. Yikes. People like Platner are the people who killed 100 plus little girls in Iran. I'll never support that. Yikes. Yeah, I don't care, man. Yeah, you got it.
So in 10 years, when whoever pushed the button to massacre little girls in Iran regrets it and chooses to go into the Democratic Party and run for office, Hassan Piker is going to vote for them. Hassan Piker is going to advocate for them. Hassan Piker is going to excuse them. I'm telling you, in 10 years, Hassan Piker, Emma Vigeland, and Sam Cedar will tell you to vote for an ICE agent. It's going to happen. They don't give a fuck about you. They're white and they're comfortable. That's what they care about. Maintaining the status quo. Please read The Pitfalls of Liberalism by Kwame Ture.
Well, luckily you don't have to vote for him. You can vote for, illegally vote for Pills Mafia. You know what it is? Here's my controversial opinion that I actually never revealed at the time, but I've been thinking about this question.
Because he's a fucking fraud and a liar. I never revealed this before. Oh my goodness, I hid this from you. Because you're a fucking fake, bro. Everything about you is fake. What the fuck are you hiding this for? So you know it's safe and secure? Yes. A war criminal is not pure enough for me. He's got too much blood of the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Unfortunately, Dan, that blood is brown. So I understand why that is that's okay with you.
Quite a bit. There are officers that run all the goddamn time. This one is a fucking grunt. And that's the real reason why a lot of people are like, oh, he had his hands on a machine gun. He probably fucking shot people.
Probably. Multiple tours, Iraq and Afghanistan, and still he's hedging. He probably shot people. Graham Platner was offered, and he talks about this, the ability to move up in rank. But he likes warfare so much, and he talks about it. He enjoyed it so much, he liked combat so much that he rejected being promoted because he wanted to be there. That is a psychopath through and through. Cowards that may be bloodthirsty will run to the office, run to a higher rank, 100%. And they're equally as disgusting. But let's be clear why Graham Platner denied those promotions. Let's be clear why he denied those promotions is because he wanted blood on his hands. He wanted to pull the trigger. He didn't want somebody to do it on his behalf. He enjoys that shit way too fucking much. That is sick. That is sick. He was way too intelligent, way too educated, way too wealthy to be a grump. He did it because he enjoyed the violence, the death, and destruction that he was inflicting upon the people of Iraq and Afghanistan, so much so that for almost a decade, almost 2 fucking decades, he put a death skull tattoo, a Nazi symbol that he took to embrace for the death and destruction that he inflicted upon innocent people time and time again, to the point of becoming a mercenary. And you're excusing that? You're trying to play it as like, oh, this poor guy was in the front lines. He didn't have an option. Yes, he fucking did. From the jump, he had an option. This is white supremacy. This is white allyship. It's woe me every fucking time. Whiteness over everything. And he's downplaying the Jake Shields conversation. Perfect, bro. Perfect.
So yeah,
do the fucking research. It's not that fucking difficult. This motherfucker's, this is his job. 7 days a week. 7 days a week in front of a fucking screen and can't be bothered to do the research. Here he is with Jake Shields a month ago, talking about the real concerns of America, the housing crisis, right? Sounds good. Populist language. All right.
Everything like Big Macs, Pepsi, a home.
Yeah.
And dude, it's like in 25 years, we've like 400x'd in price. So
and how much the wage?
Everything is like
not even close. I need to look this up.
12%.
Do some of this. I know
like prices are up like 400 or
500%.
Wages are up like 12%.
Jesus. Yeah.
And so that's
Cars,
like if we take that same if we're on that same times as expensive as right, your average
people that have a lot of money and assets
isn't worried.
They don't give a fuck about these people. They're just like, oh, it's
pooled.
It's a lot more extreme.
Yeah,
we want like a vibrant middle class. You don't want it where people are fucking. Some people do. Some people want it where they're rich and everyone's below them. But that's not a good functioning society.
Populism,
no.
Right?
And that's another thing where I'll get called a socialist. Where I'm like, hey, maybe it's not a good thing that Elon Musk has $800 billion.
Right.
Words mean nothing to them. I'll get called a socialist for not wanting billionaires. It gets better, y'all. It gets better. It gets better.
Middle class.
If we had like the best middle class, $800 billion in our homeless crisis, man. But like when we have all of those problems and the wealth disparity after COVID,
wiped out a lot of the middle class.
They fucking 3x'd since COVID.
That Charlie Kirk had to meet with 2 million. One that pushed Trump sell $1 billion during COVID.
Like, what are you, not a capitalist? I'm like, we are a corporate, all actually pay any taxes. Like,
people, I'm like, whoa, you guys don't pay any taxes.
And so my point with that is like
crazy ways to get
strict capitalism. That's socialism, which has taxes, of course.
He's into a Jewish guy.
Bill Ackman.
Bill Ackman. He bet like 2 million, turned it into $2 billion in a month. Fucking country, and then he put this bet in. Just wipe.
What I tell people is, because everybody's like, what are you, not a capitalist? America, we are anarchy. Essentially what that means is, and they don't actually pay any taxes. I feel like, you and the viewer, capitalism, is your exact
I think it was devastated. So they loans.
Yep. Companies like Open.
Hold on. There's a section here that I really want to look at. My apologies. I thought I had it lined up at 223.17. but it's not here. Shit. And I need to go. I need to go in 5 minutes. Give me 1 second. Let me look at the transcript. They're gonna use the word America a lot. Come on, bro. 23. My apologies. My apologies. Thought I had it.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got problem?
Thank you so much, Gio. Platner, unaliving Iraqis for the love of the game. Hassan, stop being woke schooled. Platner wants Medicare for all. They're national socialists. Bernie has created national socialism in the U.S., completely being embraced behind the veneer of Zionism. I appreciate the super chat, Gio. Thank you so much. Let's see here. If they talk about the American way of life, it's kind of fucking disgusting. And they talk about apartments. I'm panicking because I'm gonna be late, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Here we go. Here we go. Friends, Tuesday, political. Yeah. Thank you all for your patience. I appreciate you. Where is it? I know they talk about apartments. God damn, what is it? Hold on. Studio. Okay, it's earlier. Okay. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Home, not a little apartment.
Now, the average age of a first-time homebuyer is 40 years old.
Holy shit.
The average age of a homebuyer in general in America is 60 years old. So
the boomers are out of touch of like...
And so you have this entire generation of young men who have no access to what younger generations of men did in this country, where they could be 25, get married, work a full-time job, afford a home.
Doesn't this all sound great? It's populism. It's like, fuck yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Damn those boomers. I want to buy a home too.
Wife could stay at home, raise the kids. Like, that's sort of the American dream.
As she
That's
should.
fucking gone. And so what does that mean for young men in the next generation moving forward? Well, if they're not having kids, well, we're going to start, and then we're also taking this massive refugee crisis from.
There it is. A massive refugee crisis.
From everywhere.
Which isn't.
Well, we're going to start, and then we're also taking this massive refugee crisis from everywhere.
Which is intentional.
Which is intentional.
Which is intentional. Great Replacement, George Soros, the black and brown hordes, refugee crisis invading our country. You don't believe me? I'm reaching? Cool. Let's let them finish.
Right?
For sure.
We're gonna lose out on that American culture, and so
and there it is. Because of this refugee crisis, we're gonna lose out. That's being done intentionally. We're gonna lose out on the American culture. But this isn't a white nationalist. But this isn't a white nationalist. But this isn't a white nationalist. Come on now.
My big thing with immigration is, like, if you want to come here and you want to assimilate to.
If you want to assimilate, abandon your fucking culture at the door. We all know what assimilation is, y'all. We all know what they mean by assimilate. Act white, act right.
America and American culture. Immigration is like, if you want to come here and you want to assimilate to America and American culture, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But like these enclaves, Jewish enclaves, Somali enclaves, Ethiopian enclaves, Latin American enclaves, to me, I don't fucking want that.
No, I don't.
Graham Platner was a longtime fan of this. There's a reason why he started with Jewish enclaves, because he's anti-Semitic. We know this. Immediately goes to black people. What's in the headlines? Somali enclaves. Then goes to brown people, Latinos. This is what Hassan Piker's co-signing with Graham Platner. Graham Platner said, I'm a longtime fan. Am I reaching? Am I fucking reaching? Am I wrong? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Fuck these fools. From Hassan Piker to Graham Platner, Sam Cedar to Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Fuck them all, bro. Fuck them all.
I don't care what race it is. They have them in all over California. You go, no one's speaking English because it's all Mexican. Like, I don't want to go to that.
Yeah.
I don't hate Mexican people. I don't go to an area they don't.
I don't want to go to that. They're not speaking English. Valhalla over here, Grant Platner's best friend, says, yeah.
Fucking speak English in America.
Yeah.
You know, like the Muslims in the Bay Area, for the most part, were assimilated and not a problem. Now there's areas where like a lot of Afghans over here, a lot of Syrians here, but they weren't out causing problems in the Bay Area.
Yeah. It's just enclaves. And so that's where I'm like, this is nuanced, right? To where it's like, I can not hate Islam, but also not want like third worldism taking over the country at the same time.
Third worldism taking over the country at the same time. Damn, bro. Dan Steely, you are a white nationalist alongside these fucking people. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate helping the algorithm favor me. Thank you so much. You're doing us on Piker's service. I appreciate y'all so much. What more do I need to say? What more do I need to show you? Grant Platner is a white supremacist through and through. Marutu, thank you for the super chat.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Medicare for all won't work because too many white people will not expand it to non-whites. We've seen it. Yes, they did this. They refused this time and time again. This is backed by a lot of research. These guys are the norm, 100%. Hassan Piker, once again, co-signing white supremacy. A surprise and shock to no one that is actually a socialist, a communist, or even an anarchist. I appreciate y'all. Join the Patreon if you can. I got no time to read the poem. My apologies, John Trudell the Beast. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Stubble.